Make sure you stick around until the end to see how you can win free gear and products. Hey everyone, PJ here with CLK Supplies, and this is part 2 of my interview with Eric with Jim's Locksmithing Service. Make sure if you haven't watched part 1, it'll be in the link will be in the notes below. But welcome back, Eric.
Hey.
Thanks for taking the time to do this.
No problem.
So, what I want to talk about today is really the American dream that you're living. Right? So, as we alluded to in the last video, the name of your company is Jim's Locksmithing Service.
Yep.
Yeah, your name is Eric.
Yep.
And that's because you purchased Jim's Locksmithing Service.
I did.
And kind of the cool part about it, everyone, is that Eric worked at Jim's Locksmithing Service since it started in
04?
04.
Yeah.
2004.
Yeah.
And so you've worked all these years for Jim at Jim's Locksmithing Service, and then at the start of 2020,
Yeah. Beginning of the pandemic.
yeah,
Perfect.
perfect time to jump in as a business owner. Right?
It's great.
Perfect. So, I think it's awesome that you now own the business, and I kind of want to talk to you about what it was like working at a business, deciding to purchase it and take it over. Talk to us about that.
Okay. Well, I knew I probably could do the work, but I had no idea. And to this day, it's a little over a year later, and I'm still figuring things out. But I found out very quickly, pretty much owning the business is paperwork, more paperwork, and if you don't watch it, you'll get buried in paperwork. I was probably doing 18-hour days. I'd work all day here, and then I'll spend like 5 or 6 hours in paperwork at home. And in the beginning, when it was a little bit slower, beginning of the pandemic, things were kind of up and down on business, which I didn't mind because I was trying to figure out, make sure taxes got paid, everybody was good, everyone got paid. So, but then when we really started to pick up business because we had to all these businesses needed securing, and people were just trying to make sure no one stole stuff, and we got extremely busy, and I got buried in paperwork. I couldn't dig myself out of it, so I was working as much as I humanly possibly could, and finally I just came up with an idea of hiring somebody. Because I was just like, I kept on looking at it going, I can't keep doing this. And I hired somebody part-time, and it's still a learning curve and trying to figure it all out, but I at least have a little bit more of a life at home. So that's gave me what I needed, so I'm happy. But the business it feels like it's half of it's doing the work, half of it's the paperwork. And when you got 3-4 other guys bringing in all this paperwork, it can bog you down. I figured out pretty quickly. I hated paperwork, and I would have rather been doing work the entire time, and it would have been less stressful, a lot easier. But
yeah, absolutely. So, at what point, while working for Jim's Locksmithing Service, did you think that one day maybe you wanted to own it?
I knew I wanted to own it. I knew I wanted to own it probably around 2004 when Jim started up over here.
Okay.
Because I enjoyed the work so much, I thought it would be it's like I didn't see myself working at Home Depot or working for somebody else. And all the time I remember my boss saying, it's like he hated working for someone. That means he didn't get to make it, working for yourself, you get to make your rules. Good or bad, but you got to make your own choices. And every time I had to deal with a corporation, I always saw that. I talked to a manager, then a district manager, and then the person above them. And I'm just trying to get a yes or a no here, and I'm so glad I don't have to do that in my own business. So, but Jim was a great boss. So when he finally decided to say he was done, it was pretty obvious. I was just like, okay, what next? What do we got to do?
Yeah, and did he kind of know this, like when you started in 2004? Or was that something you kind of kept to yourself, but you're kind of hoping one day
In 2004, I don't think I really told him anything. I think as the years gone by, I was basically what everybody around here is like the number one guy. I was the one who, any problems, I did it. I fixed it. I was if I ever had to, anything came up that I needed Jim for, he would come out. But 99% of the time, I was the guy who was getting it done, and you just had to figure it out every single time. But usually because you got 20 years plus knowledge, it didn't really give you too many problems, but it was always something new, something different. So when he was starting to talk about it, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, that he was looking to retire, and he goes, "Do you think you'd be interested?" And I go, "Yeah." And that was about the end of the discussion.
Really?
It wasn't really, anything special. It was just like, "Would you want it?" "Yeah." "Okay, I'll let you know."
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
So
Eric, I want to talk about the transition, right? So you went from, now you were working in the business, the customers were familiar with you, your co-workers were familiar with you, obviously. But the transition from going from, one day you walk in as an employee and the next day essentially you walk in as the business owner. What was that transition like between with the customers and then also with what used to be your co-workers and now you're their leader and boss?
Co-workers, I don't think I might treat them a little bit differently, but in the bottom line, I always thought of myself as at least a manager position, as somebody that they already respected, I knew what I was doing, I knew what they were capable of doing. I didn't really feel like a big transition for the employees. It was just kind of like, someone else has signed my check now.
Okay.
And that was not the extent of it. Because I trained every person who came in here before. I mean, Jim trained them too, but it was primarily my job to make sure that they knew what they were doing. And if they didn't, I had to figure out a way to get them to know what they were doing.
Sure.
It wasn't complicated. So we've always, I've tried to keep a pretty easygoing atmosphere here. I always try to make things, as nice and relaxing as you can in a job, because I no point of adding more stress to it. And I never thought, being a boss as a pain in the neck would be helpful for me. So I just, that transition was easy. What the transition of the, I think the biggest thing is for customers, they saw me and they're like, "Oh, you own it now." And I was like, "Yeah." And usually the response after that was, "About time."
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, okay, yep, all right. Or other customers were just like, they were just happy for me, because you do something for long enough. I'm seeing guys retire, new people rehired. I'm seeing people all the time going through a shift of new management and things. So anybody who's known me for a long enough time was just excited because they knew how long I've been doing this, and finally you get to call the shots, be it good or bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Well, I think that's awesome. I think it goes to really say when your team that you've built here while you were, essentially the manager of Jim's Locksmith and Service, you've built a great team and you have a great group of guys. And so I'm sure as now the business owner, being able to have already a great team established is a major blessing.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Having to hire somebody and train them again, it's doable, but it's so much easier when you got guys who know what they're doing. It's so much easier.
Yeah. That's great. And it also sounds like a lot of your customers were kind of like, they saw the writing on the wall without you even having to say anything.
Yeah, they pretty much every single person was like, "Oh, you own it now. Yeah, didn't you change the name?" And I'm like, why would I change something that everybody knows? That was never...
Okay, and that's actually was going to be my next question.
Okay.
So now it's Jim's Locksmith and Service, and your name's Eric.
Yep.
And you're gonna keep the name.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's no point in changing something that works. I changed parts of the business for an LLC, but it was only for paperwork only. I just wanted to take tax credits and stuff that I couldn't do it if I did it the other way.
Sure.
But pretty much leave the name alone. As long as your name has a good reputation, changing it only makes people question, "Oh, who's new? Why did it change? Why?" There's customers still today who didn't know that it changed business names, and I sent stuff out telling people. They're just like, oh, I guess I need to get a new W-9 or a new form for me. I'm like, okay. And that was the end of the discussion. And nobody really cared. They're just like, still the same? Yeah, still the same address? Okay, that was easy. So it was simple. I liked it, and they liked it. So it worked out really, really well when the change happened.
Awesome. So Eric, so you become the business owner, and you go through a major pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that had to be interesting. Scary, right? I think for everybody, I mean, none of us really knew what to expect, honestly. But here you are, you're still standing, right? Your business is still going. And the question I really have for you is going through the transition from working at a place to owning it, and then even going through what we just went through, what advice would you give to someone who is looking at buying an existing locksmithing business?
I would say you should know what you're getting into. I'm a big believer in the boss knowing more than the people down below. And I always made that quite clear with my boss. I didn't want someone to buy the business who didn't know enough about the business. Because you need someone to be able to bounce ideas off. In this business, it's talking to each other, figuring things out. So when you're trying to buy this business, this is not an investment type of business in my mind. This is, you got to know what you're doing. And if you don't, be an employee, figure it out, then get into it. I mean, this is not, have a shop of 10 guys and all you're doing is signing a check, because that would never work for me. In fact, if that would have been an option, if Jim would have went that direction, I probably wouldn't have stuck around, because I had a hard time with that idea in my head. Every time it popped into my head, it's like, I want someone who knows more than me or as much as me and can actually answer the questions that come out of this business. So if you know enough about the business, go for it, get into the thing. But with eyes open, there are the taxes, the employees, everything to try to handle it all. You're going to spend a lot of time. If you're busy, you're going to spend hours and hours and hours at home on the weekend. You're going to go through a ton of paperwork. You are going to hate paperwork as much as I do. If you're good, if you're busy enough, then you can hire somebody. If you're not, you got to be able to drudge through it until you can afford to do it. It's a hard job to do because it expects a lot from you. It's a 24-hour business, at least ours are. And then on top of that, you have to keep the customers happy. On top of that, you got to remember to order everything you need to order, and then deal with the customers who are complaining and deal with the problems. And this can be done with 2 hours sleep or whatever else is happening. So you got to go with your eyes open into this. This is not an easy job. It's not I'll be breaking it in. It's going to be rough. And if you go into it with that expectation of having problems but still enjoying the work, you'll do great. But you just got to really, what I learned is I'd rather be doing the work, very much so, than doing the paperwork. But it's also still fun to be able to see what the business is doing, seeing that we're making money from these customers. You're building up your customer base. To me, it was actually a lot of fun to figure it out. But I mean, it's just a lot. And if you're not ready to be really committed to it, don't jump into it. It's not worth it. Just keep working until you feel like you're in that position. Because I didn't know I wasn't ready for it when I started. And when I started doing the paperwork, I'm like, okay, I'll figure this out, because I had to. If someone else is just looking at it thinking it's an easy job, it's so far from that. It's complicated, it's hard, and it's a lot of fun if you can do it right.
Sure.
So.
Absolutely. Well, Eric, thank you for taking the time to talk to us about the transition, and I got to learn some stuff. I didn't quite know all of this, and man, I'm super happy for you to now be the owner of Jim's Locksmithing Service, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
I'm guessing if you just watched this video that you work with locks and keys. And to us here at CLK Supplies, that makes you a lock boss. And we want to hook you up. Here's how it works. Throughout the week, we post videos on YouTube, like the one you just watched. And all you need to do is comment on the videos and include the hashtag LockBoss. When you do this, you're automatically entered in to win one of 5 free prizes that we give out each and every week. No purchase necessary. So if you're a lock boss, join us each week to learn, grow, and win.